Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, if you know me well enough, you'll know that I am a huge fan of these kind of old school shooters. Shooters from id Software, Quake, Doom, Wolfenstein, or I guess what it's been called nowadays, the boomer shooter, which is a kind of funny name to think about it. But this is probably one of my favorite genres of game, and it's probably my preferred style of first person shooter. Not that I don't, like the Halos and the Call of Duties of the industry, but I think the boomer shooters like Doom and Wolfenstein has always been my favorites. So you might be wondering, what did I think of Doom Eternal's DLC, The Ancient Gods? Now, I know the first thing that's probably going to come up to anyone who's already played The Ancient Gods, why am I so late to this? Originally, since this is mostly a Nintendo channel, which I'm going to slowly gear away from that, I think, and just do like general gaming things that I have an interest in, because that's just what I want to do. Originally, I was going to wait for Doom Eternal's Switch port to talk about Doom Eternal, because, I love Doom, I love Nintendo. I wanted to wait till those two happen, but it seems like Doom Eternal's Switch port is going to take a lot longer than I thought initially. So I felt, why not just talk about it now and get it out of the way, right? So I guess you could look at this as a sort of Nintendo fan's perspective on Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part 1, and my overall thoughts and how I feel about the DLC after completing it. Now, just to give you guys some backstory as to my own, I guess, skill level when it comes to Doom, is that I play on the Xbox One X. I do also play Doom Eternal on PC. But I just prefer console. That's just how I am as a person. And I have beaten the regular Doom Eternal campaign like 3 times, with my best being a complete run through of Doom Eternal's campaign on Nightmare difficulty with Extra Lives mode on, which is pretty much just the best you can do, just shy of Ultra Nightmare. I'm just not good enough to complete Ultra Nightmare. That's just how it is. So when I was going into the Ancient Gods, I felt confident. I felt like I was ready to beat this DLC. And my first playthrough of the Ancient Gods, I did 2 playthroughs. One of them was just Extra Lives mode, and one of them without it. Both on Ultra Violence. And I'll say this much: this DLC will kick your ass. And I love it. I totally love it. Because I feel that once you get the combat down for Doom Eternal, it's like you feel like you master it, so you want to be able to play it in a much harder difficulty. Like every time I want to come back to it and just do better, fight stronger enemies, and just constantly come back and just show the combat system that I can do this, right? So going into the Ancient Gods, you quickly realize that it is way tougher than anything in the entire Doom Eternal campaign. Like the regular campaign, nothing in the regular campaign, not even the Slayer Gates, even come close to competing with the difficulty of the Ancient Gods Part 1. It is insanity, and I love it. I'm totally into it. There's certain demon combinations that just never happen. You also don't have the Crucible, which, if you don't play Doom Eternal, is kind of like a trump card where you have like 3, I want to call them, like, I guess, pips or points, and you get to use 1 point to instantly just get rid of like any demon in the area. There are some demons that this doesn't really apply to, but for the most part, like 90% of the demons, like 9 times out of 10, it gives you like an extra, just, alright, get out of the way. And you get to get rid of a demon for free, right? In the Ancient Gods, you don't have that. For storyline purposes, you do not have this trump card anymore. You have this sort of you can't rely on this anymore. The typical strategy I would have, and I think a lot of people also did this, is that when they saw the Archvile demon, which has the ability to just summon demons non-stop and has like a big pool of health, a lot of people would just take out the Crucible and use it on him, because he would constantly just keep spawning demons, and you want to get rid of him before it gets to be a much larger issue, right? And you want to be able to control the flow of the combat. So getting rid of him was the best way to do this. But in the Ancient Gods, since you don't have this Crucible weapon anymore, you kind of just have to fight them like you normally would have to. And in some battles, they just don't care about, you know, overwhelming the player. They are constantly trying to overwhelm you, right? So there are battles where they have 2 Arc Vials. There are battles where you have to fight the Marauder, which was an enemy type that, like, people who, I guess, I don't really want to call them, like, people who just weren't comfortable with the combat system had an issue with. You would have to fight two Marauders. You would have to fight Marauders with a speed buff enhanced on top of them. You would have to fight many heavy demons at the same time. That just never was a thing in the main campaign, which I think is amazing, and I think they should totally continue doing that and just continue doubling down on that, because I think it is what makes the DLC so much fun. Now, I do have some negatives about the DLC. Mind you, most of my negatives are not negatives that I feel ruin the experience in any capacity. It's just, I guess, preferences. Because I feel that the main Doom Eternal campaign hit this sort of sweet spot in terms of the importance of weak spots, weak points, and utilizing different weapons for different situations while still offering a certain level of freedom in how to approach these situations, right? So for that reason, one of my criticisms is the reliance on one specific weapon only being able to damage and kill one specific demon type. If you play the Ancient Gods, I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this, and that's basically the Spirit enemy type that is added with the Ancient Gods DLC. This Spirit enemy, I love the idea of it, right? I like the idea of this. Basically, if you haven't played it, the Spirit has the ability to possess any demon in the map. And basically give them a large health boost, a large speed boost. They cannot flinch or be faltered from grenades or any kind of concussive blast. So a lot of the strategy that you're typically used to just does not work on these buff demons. And depending on what demon they take over, it can be a huge problem. If they take over a Baron of Hell, an enemy type that just rushes you constantly and has already a big move pool, or big health pool, I'm sorry, it becomes just one of the worst possible situations you could find yourself in. So it becomes very, very difficult, right? And so the only way you can kill a Spirit is by killing the demon it possesses and then using the very specific microwave beam modification for the plasma rifle in order to kill it. The problem I have with this is that it is the only way to kill the Spirit. And I think that's not exactly how I would like it. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It does make you move slower, and mind you, I don't really have too much of an issue with the idea of, you know, kill the big demon and then there's like a point in time where you're able to damage the Spirit and then kill it. My issue basically just stems from it being very specific on what weapon it is. It's now a situation where you have to use this one weapon, and it's not the worst thing ever, but it's definitely not what I would think of for Doom Eternal. Like, it's not the way I would do it, I guess. And I feel that they had this sort of sweet spot in terms of giving people the freedom to, you know, craft which weapon for which situation, but clearly there are some that do better in certain situations than others. Now it's no longer that. Now it feels like it went a step further and made it so that only this weapon works in only this situation, and I'm not a big fan of that personally. Also, another sticking point I have is the music. Andrew Holsholt and I think David Levy were the two who handled the music, since Mick Gordon had that controversy a while back with Bethesda and its software. So obviously the music I was expecting the music to be different. Now, going into it and playing through the entire DLC twice now, it is different. I also don't think it's bad. I think it's serviceable music. It's pretty much, it's fitting for Doom. It's good music for Doom. I just don't think it is as memorable as Doom. I feel like maybe a year or two down the line, maybe 3 years down the line, I'm still going to remember a lot of the tracks that was in Doom Eternal's main campaign, such as Meat Hook, such as Super Gore Nest. I'm still going to remember those. The Only Thing They Fear Is You. A lot of these tracks from Mick Gordon I'm going to remember, because I still do, despite many months after. Now, there's not a single track in the Ancient Gods that I remember even though it hasn't been anywhere close to that as much time as the Doom Eternal campaign has ended for the first time for me. So I don't think a lot of the tracks are memorable. Playing the game, they fit. They fit for the situation, but it's almost as if I listen to the soundtrack again and I genuinely can't remember which part went where. Like, I can't remember if one song played in one other level or vice versa. It's just, they all just kind of mesh together. And while it's fitting and it sounds like Doom, it sounds very generic metal. And I guess I could say this, it's not bad music, but it's just not memorable, I guess. So I guess you could say I was a little disappointed, but I wasn't exactly expecting Mick Gordon here. So it's not bad music. It's definitely not. You know, I definitely found myself getting into it a little bit as I was playing it. It's just definitely not the kind of music that I would find myself listening to or remembering, you know, after the DLC ends, which is how it went for me. But other than those 2 points, when it comes to the spirits, when it comes to the music, everything else is phenomenal. The story was awesome. I saw some people not very into it, but I thought it was awesome. The gameplay is just as awesome as it always was. The new demon combinations and the battles was some of the best Doom Eternal has ever had. It was just intense, and I loved it. The new Slayer gates were fun. Everything about this DLC was just fantastic. It was just fantastic, and I'm kind of tripping over my own words to describe how fantastic I thought it was. Another sticking point is that I thought the final boss wasn't all that. It focused so much on the spirits, and since, you know, I've already described to you guys why I don't feel too big on the spirits, you'll understand why I didn't feel so much for the final boss fight of the DLC, considering it focuses so much on spirits. But yeah, other than that, this DLC was amazing. I actually really loved it, and I'm still really interested in just to let you guys at id know. I doubt you're watching this video, but you know, I still want to, you know, point this out there. But if you guys are still working with, I think, Panic Button or so to get Doom Eternal on the Switch, just know I'm double dipping, actually triple dipping, because I have it on PC and Xbox. But I'll definitely triple dip on the Switch version, because I already own Doom 2016 on 3 platforms, and I can do that again for Doom Eternal. I think Doom Eternal is phenomenal. So yeah, make it happen, guys. I'm still here, still willing to buy it. And yeah, I think that's all I have for you guys for today. So let me know if you have been playing Doom Eternal, if you've played the Ancient Gods, and if you have, what are your thoughts about it? And yeah, that's all. So I'll see you guys in the next one.
Shifty, yeah, shifty. Wanna be the #1 gamer? Come and get me. It'd be dope if you subscribe. Could you like the vid, please? Take your time, you don't gotta do it swiftly. Shifty, shifty. Wanna be the #1